Hello and welcome in. This is the Wednesday live chat for this week's 3M Open. Your questions, your concerns, your comments, we will use my website. We'll use weather websites. We'll use whatever we can to see if we can figure out what in the world is going to happen this week in Blaine, Minnesota. So get them comments in right now, get them flowing in. I see there's already a bunch in there. We'll go through them and see where we can rock and roll. Looking forward to this. This will be fun. Why wait any longer? Let's start where we always start. Let's look at the weather forecast, which as of right now, oh boy, flash flood warning, heavy thunderstorms right now, Wednesday. 1.5 inches of rain forecasted over the next couple of hours. That is quite a bit. The rest of the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, looks pretty good. Sunday might bring some more rain. If we look at the wind, doesn't get more than 8 miles an hour at any point for the first couple of days. So wind-wise, temperature-wise, all that fun stuff, pretty clean. But oh boy, look at those thunderstorms that are going on right now. 1.5 inches of rain. If I'm a prognosticator and I look into my crystal ball and I think, oh man, what is the PGA Tour going to do? Feels like preferred lies, doesn't it? Feels like 1.5 inches of rain brings the potential for a lot of mud balls. And the PGA Tour does not like that. And if they do it on Thursday, I guess they don't have to do it on Friday, but sometimes they do. So anyway, here's what I've done is I've went and I've pulled for you all the results for everybody in this field in preferred lies. So this is assuming this is going to happen. It might not, but this assumes it's going to happen. This will be on Rick Run Good, my website, in the very, very near future. I've sent out an email about this where like the data work that I've done over the last year, completely comprehensive, this massive year-long project starting to roll out now with the radar tools and a lot of other tools. So I just went and pulled a screenshot for you guys, and hopefully you can see this. If not, I can kind of explain it to you. But what we have here are, I think this dates back 3 or 4 years. I went through and sourced all the times that the PGA Tour played preferred lies, put them in the database so now that we can query on it, all that fun stuff. So this is by round. Not by tournament. So that's why you see like Luke Clanton has 5 starts where preferred lies were in place, but that's over 9 rounds. Okay. So that's what you're seeing there. So he's number 1. He's gaining over 2.5 strokes per round, but it's only 9 rounds. So looking for bigger sample sizes here. Davis Thompson and Hayden Springer have played 30 and 24 rounds respectively, 1.3 strokes gained per round in those conditions. Jake Knapp is near the top of this list. Sami Valimaki, Jacob Bridgman, Rio Hisatsune also showing up as well. Again, this is everybody in this field over those preferred lies rounds. And the rest of these stats are also for those preferred lies, right? So you see the guys that find the most success are the ones that start throwing darts, right? You know, Luke Clanton gaining 1.5 strokes per round on approach. Here's Jackson Super gaining like 2 strokes per round on approach in those preferred lies rounds. So, you know, something to look at if you want to take a screenshot or pause the video or whatever, have at it. This will be on rickrungood.com here shortly. But the way it usually works is finding fairways is more rewarded. And then guys can just, they're going to take dead aim. They're just absolutely going to take dead aim. The next thing I always like to show at the start is one and done selection rates from officefootballpool.com, which is now owned by Splash Sports, which is now, by the way, Splash Sports, which I love. Obviously we have a great relationship with them. We run our weekly contest there. Like, they're great guys. I'm going to go play with John Daly next week via that Splash Sports promo that I'm sure you guys were very aware of. They just dropped their Survivor for next year, NFL Survivor, and they guaranteed it at $2.5 million. That might be, I'm not super in the know on online survivors because I know like Circa Survivor and all that stuff. Super Contest might have one, but $2.5 million guaranteed might be the largest online regulated survivor, right? I mean, 40 states or so, almost all of Canada, it's legal and regulated. $2.5 million on a $150 entry is bonkers. So that got me thinking, what are we gonna ask for our one and done next year? 500K is what we got last year. I think we have to ask for at least $1 million, right? 1.5, 1.75, 1.8. I don't know how frisky am I feeling? We'll see. But anyway, that got me thinking. So anyway, here are the selection rates for one and dones this week. Chris Gotterup leads the way at 18%. Wyndham Clark 14.5%, Mav McNeely 13.6%, Tony Finau 11.8%, Sam Burns 9.4%, nobody else above 7%. We will talk a lot about Chris Gotterup. I love Chris Gotterup. I love the future. I love a lot of things. I am tempering expectations just a tiny bit this week after a life-changing 2 weeks overseas. I still think there's work for him to do, so I'm not super concerned, but I don't really want to run him out in a bunch of places where game theory matters. Might take a lower stance in one and dones, might take a lower stance for DFS purposes. But if you want to bet him outright, if you want to bet him in the top 10, if you want to play him in matchups, I think all that stuff is pretty good. It's the game theory stuff that worries me a little bit more. Looking at this, Sam Burns is, the favorite or the co-favorite. The reason he is only 9% is because he has basically been used by everyone. About 70% of entries across the industry have already used Sam Burns. So despite him being the favorite to win this golf tournament, he is going to be pretty low owned just by the nature of the beast. So if you have Sam Burns available, whether you are front running or not, you might just want to play him. Now, Maverick McNeely is in a similar spot where he is the co-favorite or one of the three favorites, but he has not been used nearly as much as Sam Burns has already been used. So he is going to get a little bit more love. So very interesting situation for Burnsy here. And we are coming down the stretch of this season, right? We've got 3M this week. We've got Wyndham next week. We've got probably 2 playoff events, and then your one and done is over. It might go to the Tour Championship. Usually they don't. I think that's probably the minority. So get it while it's hot. Speaking of getting it while it's hot, well, let me remind you that right now DraftKings is giving new customers a chance to play for free for their share of millions in prizes with their first deposit on the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app. It's very simple. Build a dream lineup. Stay under the $50,000 salary cap. Sit back and watch your players rack up points. Oh, the Eagles, the birdies, the birdie streaks. Intensity of every single shot. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app and enter promo code RickDFS to play free for your share of millions with your first deposit. That's RickDFS for new DraftKings customers. Just download the Daily Fantasy app for your free shot today. And of course, Mina, the crown is yours. She hates it when I say that. Let's go, Chris. Get us started. If these players were to play to their peak powers, who finishes with more DK points, Garnett, Montgomery, or Higo? You've put me into a corner here and you've put me into a vacuum. The answer is Higo, right? Multiple time winner on the PGA Tour, multiple time winner on the DP World Tour. Remember, he just withdrew last week. I do not remember. I don't know if we ever found out why that was, but that is not what you asked me. You asked me at their peak powers, who finishes with more? The answer is Higo. Landon says, hey, Rick, maybe I'm just bad at modeling, but my top rated guys are Hoey, you, Mitchell, Thor, Kitayama, Gotterup, Pendrith, Knapp. Yeah, okay, sure. He says, I didn't even use driving distance. Does that make sense to you? Well, I guess it depends on what else you did. But yeah, I mean, listen, those are a handful of the top players in this field, right? Gotterup and Pendrith and Knapp. And I mean, these are guys that are literally the top 10 of the betting favorites. And then even if you go farther down, like guys that have found my money for the week. So yeah, I'm cool with this. We can talk about any of those guys specifically, but it's not where you went. Hey, Rick, fairly high in one and done. I'm wondering if it makes sense to save Burns for the FedEx St. Jude and maybe use Thor, Bjornsson, Knapp, or Grazerman here. If you want to do that, you could, but I tend to say like foot on gas now, worry about it later. If you are fairly high in your one and done, my preference is to not get cute. It is to play Burns, who is going to give you leverage and is also going to be the guy that you should play if you are leading your one and done. So I'm not getting cute here. I'm just playing Sam Burns. It's your money. It's not my money. And then would you drop Sung Jae in fantasy for someone like Whaley or Gim? Yes. Depending on how your league is set up, you're never going to feel comfortable starting Sung Jae, right? So he's going to be a perpetual like fifth or sixth guy. I start 4 in my league. Fifth or sixth guy, and he's just taking up a roster spot. Gim could be valuable right now in this week. Can we do a deep dive on Benyon or Mark Hubbard? Let's go to Benny. If I can spell his name right. Oh boy, I'm having typing issues already. I had to switch keyboards this week because I spilled coffee all over my keyboard yesterday and it does not click properly anymore. Here is Benyon's profile, my website, rickrungood.com. Perpetually great driver of the golf ball who has driven it okay. Better in the last 5 than the previous 5. The putter, which he had found some signs of life with earlier this year, is gone again. Do we have good history? No. Oof. That's going to be tough. Not super interested in that. Let's look at Mark Hubbard real quick. Hubbard tends to be much more accurate off the tee, tends to be a more well-rounded player. Played the ISCO, made the cut there. Played the Barracuda, made the cut there. Nothing super inspiring since the Rocket Classic. Okay, yeah, I mean, I would prefer Hubbard. I think I would much prefer Hubbard, quite honestly, here. After Rahm's performance at the Open, I dropped to 17th out of 150 in my one and done, top 12 in the money, and now I'm $1.3 million back. Thoughts on Finau, Akshay, Clark, or Adam Scott? Okay, this is interesting. So, Chris, there's a little bit of personal preference here, but you've got to make up money. You kind of have to make up a lot of money. You need someone with legit winning upside. So I would say Finau and Clark are probably the two, but wait till I show you Tony Finau's profile. I think you're going to hate it. He's losing a ton of strokes off the tee at a variety of different venues. Muirfield Village, Oakmont, TPC River Highlands, and Royal Portrush run the gamut of golf courses, and he is losing at least 3 strokes off the tee at all of those places. I understand the record here is great. This is not the Tony Finau we're seeing right now. Okay. We're not. I'm not a huge fan of what Wyndham Clark offers at this golf course because I think you're taking volatility and increasing it exponentially here. But if I were you, Chris, I would take a good long gander at Wyndham Clark for this week. What you want is an unpopular, well, I guess he's going to be 14.5%. Wow. Really? What are you people doing? Why? I guess you could still play him. 14. I know he's the second highest owned, but 14% is not that much. And it will obviously vary league by league. But you've got the 11th at the Scottish, the 4th at the Open. He has put together in his last 10 or in his last 12 or so, like 7 really high upside rounds. 4 of them have been really bad and one's been okay. But I think you're in a spot to embrace volatility. Good luck. You might need it. What's the outlook for Taylor Moore this week? No outlook. Just seems like a guy who, so this is the red X of death, right? You've seen me point this out before. I think I just named it for the first time. The red X of death. See that little way those red bubbles make an X? Something is going bad every single week and it's never the same thing. That is usually a horrible sign. Loses the driver, then he loses the irons, then he loses the putter, can never put anything together, cannot rely on any one thing. I love Taylor Moore, but this has been a very bad year for him. And it does not look like it's getting better anytime soon. Sammy Valimaki. Let's do the Sammy Valimaki deep dive because he also showed up on that list of preferred lies, didn't he? What was he? Sammy was here. 18 rounds played under preferred lies, gaining 1.18 strokes per round, 0.8 per round on approach. All right, Sammy. I see you. Let's see what he's been up to as of late. Not great. Losing strokes gained tee to green in 6 out of 7. Hate that. At least the approach play has been okay in 2 of the last 3. At least the putter is heating up, and the putter is always very good. What's the history here? None. I don't like it. I think I like it more than Taylor Moore, relative to pricing, I think I like it more than Tony Finau because Tony Finau is much more expensive. You could get me there on Sammy. Needs to keep it dry off the tee. Loving the radar tool. Printed on the matchups in round 3 and round 4 off the left to right. Tee shot bias at the open. Any lean on a profile that fits the 3M. So this is the radar tool that Robert's talking about. I just released this. This is part of the new data project I just released a couple weeks, maybe 2 weeks ago. I still need to do the next step of like really analyzing all of this for every single golf course. I don't think I have a profile for this week at the 3M Open. I do, when there's water lurking everywhere, I kind of like the low curve players a little bit more. It's easy to kind of just get the ball started on the wrong line and now it's gone. So I tend to like the lower curve players, guys that hit it straighter than their peers. Just a couple of, reasonable names. I'm not Kevin Kisner. I don't think is a reasonable name, but like reasonable names that would fall under that category would be Christian Bezuidenhout, who I'm pretty high on. Chandler Phillips, Matt McCarty, Emiliano Grillo, Maverick McNeely falls into that category. Sammy Valimakis, a pretty straight player by all metrics. Kevin Roy as well. So I definitely need to take that next step. But the data is available to you, but I don't know what that model looks like for this week. The Minnesota narrative street. Okay, says Jake Knapp won the inaugural CRMC championship. Sappin, yeah, I do remember Sappin. Grew up he's from Stillwater. Interesting, cool. I assume, Justin, you're from Minnesota, which is I assuming. How does the new radar tool quantify high, middle, and low? The trajectory stuff is based on, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's based on what I did is I went through and I broke up looked at every single shot and broke them up into basically thirds, right? For high, middle, low. And then I actually talked to a couple of professional players for curve, how much curve became a draw, how much curve became all that stuff. So I'll have to pull the numbers for you, but it is based on the data and then a little bit of input from some professional players. Can we get a deep dive on Alex Noren? Let's see what Noren's been up to. Oof. Boy. So Noren from Scottish Open last year, he hasn't played a lot. Remember, he missed, he tore his glute or something. He missed a lot of time. But from Scottish Open last year until the injury, he was a pretty good approach player. Right after he came back from the injury, he played well at the PGA Championship, but that was kind of it. So his last 5, he's been a very bad ball striker. He's been very bad from tee to green. He's been a solid short game player, but that's not going to be enough around here. This to me looks a lot like a guy who missed 7 months and is still trying to get back into high-end tour shape. It's not a particularly great profile. Love the new tool in the latest newsletter. Thank you. I'm wondering if you can share which player's total driving is best and worst. Okay, so trying to think what the best way to do that is. We could do, you could do it on the golfer, you could do it on the custom model. Could probably also do it on the Holy Grail. Stats, driving, total driving is in here, I believe. Yeah, here you go. Sort by value or sort by rank, excuse me. Let's see what we get. Rico Hoey, Cam Champ, Patrick Fishburne, Austin Eckert, Alex Smalley would probably be that short list. It seems that less accurate bombers do well here. Yet correlated stats to success seem to favor driving accuracy. How do you square that circle? First off, that's a great phrase. How do you square that circle? I like that. I'm going to steal that. It seems that less accurate bombers do well here, yet the correlated stats to success model, which is this, seems to favor driving accuracy. So this is hard for me to answer, but I can only really tell you about this model here. So this model, what I'm assuming you're saying, Jay Lee, is less accurate bombers like Cam Champ, who have won this event. It says seem to do well. So I'm assuming that's what you're looking at, winners. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's my assumption here. So this model looks at every position, which I always think can trip people up. Like when you have winners who do something and then maybe everybody else in the top 10 or 8 of the next 15 or something, like this looks at every single position throughout the leaderboard, good, bad, and indifferent. So it also knocks bombers that miss the cut, for example. So I think that's the part that often gets overlooked because we often look at, oh, these guys finished inside the top 10. This model looks at every position. So I can only really speak to that side of it there, but hopefully that helps. Hey, Rick, safe travels this week. Yeah, all over the place. Have you heard any rumblings of players at the top of the FedEx Cup standings sitting out either of the first 2 playoffs events since there's no starting strokes? No, but I'm certain it will happen. And the target would be the BMW, the week right before the Tour Championship at a venue we don't play very often, where guys are just going to say, hey, I'll play in Memphis, secure my spot, and then I'm not going to play in at the BMW Championship in Maryland. They don't have to commit to, but it is going to happen. It is absolutely going to happen. Is accuracy included in strokes gained off the tee? Yes. Is Haotong a one hit? No, but let's do the deep dive on Haotong. Haotong has been great worldwide this year, right? So don't let just the Open say what he's been up to. He won a DP World Tour event in Qatar earlier this year. He had a bunch of top 10 finishes leading into the summer. His Scottish Open miscut is his only miscut worldwide in a long time. So no, very good ball striker, like not a one-hit wonder. Now the question is he going to have success this week? I don't know, but the price of 7,900 is pretty good for a guy who is going to go up against one of the weaker fields, who is a great ball striker. I do worry about coming back over here and now competing in, completely different time zone, competing after the Open Championship, close call. I mean, he was in the final group, right, on Sunday at the Open Championship. That's going to take a lot out of you. That part worries me. It doesn't necessarily worry me the actual skill set stuff on Haotong. I tend to agree with Riley's assessment of Austin Eckroat. Dude loves a birdie fest. Dude can heat it up in a big way. We saw him do it at the John Deere, 7 strokes gained on approach and 2 with the putter. He's got some flaws, as they all do, but he tends to make the cut. He tends to give himself decent opportunities. I don't mind Austin Eckroat. I wish he was playing a little bit better. I wish he had better course history. He's missed the cut each of the last 2. Why is everybody so high on Jacob Bridgman? I think because he's just been a top 30 machine, hasn't he? Maybe I'm wrong there. Why is everybody so high on Bridgman? T19 here last year. 5th at the John Deere, 26. I mean, it's okay. It's nothing special. I don't know, Colin. I don't think I have an answer to that question. Can we get a deep dive on Matt Wallace? Because that Bridgman profile's, it's fine. It's not like the greatest thing I've ever seen. Here's my problem with Matt Wallace, who I love. Pretty reliant on the short game, and I don't think he has a ton of upside. Even in the weaker field events, T12 and Punta Cana, it's a lot of 20th to 50th finishes. He actually might be better at the majors. Might be better when things are more difficult. Made the cut at the PGA, the US Open, and the Open. What's the upside here? Again, look at this. So he's played here each of the last 3 years. What are his finishes? 24th, 43rd, 26th. He finishes between 20th and 50th, no matter what. I would need to dive into that, Jake. So not going to do it on the show right now. It's a good question, though. Favorite to win this week. I'll just tell you where I ended up. I don't necessarily have a great sense of this event, I think that there are a lot of guys who can win it. I think if somebody was 150 to 1 won this golf tournament, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's pretty open. These guys got my money. Don't spend your money the way I spend my money. It's completely different. I bet Rico Hoey at 65. I bet Max Grazerman at 35. And I bet Emiliano Grillo at 50. That's what I did. I also bet Doug Gim at 70 because I said on the Second Cut podcast, I said, if Gim wins, I'll buy 10 people these bucket hats that he wears, which I think are just so outrageous. I'll show you here that bucket hat, that blue Nike bucket hat. I'll buy 10 of those. So I had to put a bet in to hedge my wallet in case I have to buy 10 of these. David Skins is the question there. I don't think people realize that David Skins has 3 top 10 finishes in his last 5 starts, including each of the last 2 opposite field events. So they're not going to get a lot of love, but the Canadian Open, this event's strength of field is going to be right in between the Canadian Open and the Farmers Insurance. So it's not too difficult or not too whatever, however you want to phrase it. It's just right. Like Goldilocks for David Skins. And when he's hot, he's really, really hot. So I love it at $6,700. He's one of the cheaper guys that I've gone with. What is the biggest problem? What is the biggest problem the course poses for players at the 3M? I would say the water in play on 15 holes. You're going to see a lot of water balls this week. You're going to see guys make a lot of big numbers. You're going to wake up on Thursday morning and have somebody who's like 5 over through 5. It's going to happen. So that I think is the biggest risk. That gets a little less. If the course is soft, it'll effectively play more narrow, right? You won't have balls that run into the water as frequently, but I think it's still a problem. Do you prefer Bezuidenhout or Gim? I wish I could combine them. I think all things considered, I probably prefer Bezuidenhout, $7,200. A very accomplished putter who has found a lot of really good approach gains over the course of the last couple of months, has shown up at major championships. I think he's just better than a lot of guys in this field, right? He plays a much more difficult schedule. He gets a lot better results. And ever since he broke out of this ball striking slump at the Zurich, basically, it's a really good profile. So I probably like that a little bit more. Ownership at each level. So let's go to the cheat sheet here and I'll just go through this. So it looks like McNeely's catching a little bit of a steam here in the 10K range with Goddard and Burns close to each other, but a little bit behind. The 9K range is fairly even except for Sungjae. Siwoo's a couple of digits below everybody else. Wyndham and Ricky. Grazerman's catching probably the most steam in the 9K range. The 8s, Thorbjornsen, about 18%. Akshay, about 20%. Kitayama, about 15%. Most everybody else in the single digits. I like the pivot to Grillo there. 7K range is a lot bigger. Actually, I'll do it this way. I'll sort by projected ownership, and then I'll just go to the 7K range. Vegas, I think, is probably the guy. Yeah, Vegas, Champ, Gim, Putnam lead the way there. 6K range. Do it this way. Probably not anybody going super high. Yeah, Skins, but it's like 5%. McGreevy, 5%. Nothing too crazy there. Hope that helps. Armina's pick. She'll have to text me and tell me what it is, but I think she's on the phone right now. I can hear like from the other room, which makes me think she's on the phone. Thoughts on Adam Scott? Very interesting that he's playing this, right? Has he ever played this before? Is this no, he hasn't. Is this a FedEx Cup standings thing? What's his real quick before I get too deep into this? Let me look at what his He is 85th. I guess that's why he's playing this. Okay. So let's look. It feels a lot like a slightly better Matt Wallace, doesn't it? The metrics are way better, but the results are just fine. Instead of Wallace, who finishes between 20th and 50th, Adam Scott finishes between 15th and 30th every single week. Plays a much deeper competition. Actually, it's almost exclusively. This is interesting. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you a couple things here. The more I look at this, the more I get interested. Really strong tee to green play. No course history to worry about one way or another. This schedule is kind of a gauntlet. If I went through and looked at who played the toughest schedules this year, Adam Scott might be the guy. If this is all majors, signature events, or national championships. Seriously, like exclusively, except for the Valspar. That's unbelievable. I also do have this. This is from my newsletter this week, and I remember this. He doesn't do it often, but easy fields. Adam Scott has played 7 events dating back to, I think this goes back to 2022, with a below average strength of field, and he's gaining 2 strokes per round in those, which is the best in this field. So I'll tell you what, starting to like that a lot. Do I have to go bet Adam Scott? What are his odds? I was kind of done betting, but what can I get Adam Scott at? I hate the way this site is set up. Hold on. Give me 1 second. It's got to be like, wow, 40. All right. We're doing it. We'll just do it right now. It's fine. We'll just do it. All right. We're in. Wow. That was kind of bizarre. All right. Where I don't know where I'm at. If you had to give a top 3 of who you think will play very good this week, regardless of price, who will it be? Jared, you're going to be disappointed when I say Sam Burns, Maverick McNeely, and Chris Goddard up. So I won't say that. So I will say this. I will say Grazerman, Grillo, Hoey. Those are probably the ones that I'm higher on. Do you have any pause about using players that played in the Open? Not really. I don't love like Hao Tong being in the biggest moment of his life, having to play with Scotty Scheffler on Sunday, that thing. But otherwise, if you just played those events, I don't have any pause about that whatsoever. These guys are well-oiled traveling machines. Believe it or not, we have already talked about Sammy Valimaki, which is great. I have also answered that question. I think these are duplicates. You do not have to send duplicate questions. Answered that one. Let me give you the Grillo deep dive. So let me give you the Grillo deep dive here. So the reason that I'm higher on Grillo than most, one, it's just, always a great spot in my heart as the king of Team No Putt. But this slump that he had to begin 2025 is firmly over. He's gained strokes off the tee in all but 2 events since Mexico. The approach play can get white hot, +9 at the Canadian Open, +6 at the Charles Schwab. Fantastic tee to green player, improved putting. And the other thing is this. He has played. I actually have it here in my newsletter. If you're not signed up for my newsletter, I don't know why you're not. There are 5 courses in Emiliano Grillo's professional career that he has played at least 5 times and has gained strokes putting. There's only 5 of them. He's a very bad putter historically. TPC Twin Cities is number 1. Half a stroke per round in 18 rounds. So if there was ever a spot to deploy Grillo, it feels like right now. Bo Hostler, Talk about guys that are breaking out of slumps. That's what it appears like Bo Hostler is doing. I think I got a favorite Bo here. Yeah, there we go. 11th, 14th, 4th in his last 3. He needs everything. He needs every point. He needs it all. He just absolutely needs it. Has he played here before? The answer to that is yes. He's played here 6 times. Not a lot of great results. 3 missed cuts, 3 made cuts. Best finish was a T13. This is a much better ball striking version of Bo. I like it. What is the most memorable shot that you have ever hit, and at what course? All right. So this is this is weird, but this is the shot I think about all the time. I was probably 17 years old. So this shot happened like 20 years ago. We would go on golf trips with my dad and his buddies, and I would go. This shot, I remember it was a fair, we were in, it was some probably Palmer and Nicholas course, probably in Virginia Beach. I hit a 4-iron out of a fairway bunker that I think about all the time. It actually flew the green. It's not like it went in or anything else. It flew the green. But I think that was the very first time I ever felt that like perfect crunch. That perfect when you do not feel the ball come off your club face. It comes off like a rocket. The combination of it being out of a fairway bunker, it was perfect. It never left the flag. It flew the green or probably, whatever. I think about that shot a lot. It was nothing. I can't tell you what I shot. It didn't even go in, didn't hit the green. But the feeling, I can remember the feeling. I can remember like looking at my dad and being like, what the hell? Recently, I don't know. I almost dunked one from like 180 yards yesterday or Tuesday. Yeah, that was yesterday. I almost dunked one there. That was pretty good. But I think about that shot from Virginia Beach a lot. Can we do a deep dive on Hayden Springer? Yeah. Nolan, let's do it, bud. $7,000, 2.5% projected ownership. Hasn't missed a cut since the Byron Nelson. Look at this. We're getting a little bit of a turnaround here. So what version are we going to get? This is interesting. He's laid down like 2 breadcrumbs. Usually pretty strong off the tee. He gave us a 5.5 strokes gained approach week at the ISCO. Finished 14th. And then he finished 23rd at the Barracuda, but we don't have shot link for that. Is it safe to assume that he hit it pretty well? Probably. So now we've got a stretch of 4 starts, so 16 rounds, where he's gained 11, like 18 or 19 strokes. Really good. I'll tell you what, he was pretty good before that. He slumped just this 4 tournaments here. But his stuff before that was really good. His stuff after that was really good. Has he played here before? Once last year, 59th. It's pretty good. I like that. I have $7,600 to spend. For my last DFS spot, who would you recommend? All right. Well, you don't have to spend the whole thing. Remember that. I'll give you a couple options here. Doug Gim is 73. Kevin Roy is 73. Either one of those are fine. Bazano's 72. Love it. Those are probably the big 3. Kitayama is dominating the models again. Yeah, I know he is. Talk me off him is what I almost said. I don't think I can. Because I know why he's modeling so great. It's been really good. So he was a guy that we see this happen a lot. I'm sure I've talked about this a million times. Guy's struggling. He plays the Zurich and just gets a break from the grind, right? He gets to play with a partner. He gets to make a lot of birdies, all that stuff. Now he missed the cut. He played with Morikawa, didn't he? Played with somebody good. I don't know. I can't remember, but they missed the cut. Doesn't matter. Since then, he's been awesome. A couple of top 5 finishes, a T14. So he missed the cut at the PGA, gaining strokes to the field. The PGA does that because it's such a massive field. And then the Canadian Open missed the cut probably on the number, had a good Friday, bad Thursday. And other than that, he's been great. So no, I'm not going to talk you off of Kitayama. I can't quit Davis Thompson. Yeah, you have a problem. I kind of do too, but it's not nearly as good as it used to be. Lost 7 strokes from tee to green at the Open. I'm okay with that, but it's just, listen, we got the prime Davis Thompson run from the Travelers to the Rocket Classic to the John Deere, just lights out tee to green play, and his best finish was a T18. It just is not. It's not that good that we used to get. Seems to be a possible AM PM advantage, really, with potentially slower, more receptive greens. Oh, on Thursday morning. Are you saying that's because of just the rain that they're getting right now? I guess so. I don't think it's going to be huge though, because from what I understand, I think it's been pretty wet, a wet season there. I don't know if it's going to be tangibly different from Thursday morning to Friday morning. I could be wrong, but I think that's what the DFS chef is referring to. Who in the 6K range could win? All of them? No. Realistically, Rosner, Suber, Ventura, Ben Coles, if he could putt for like 2 straight minutes, and Joel Damon, I think, is like probably the group. I hope Paul Peterson wins, because if he wins, I'm going to win a lot of money. But I think those are the realistic ones. My radar plot. Who would my radar plot look like? My radar plot would look like. Trying to think here. I hit a lot of like high. I don't want to say high draws because they don't really draw, like high kind of trying to draws, and then like slices off the planet. I'm trying to think who that would be. Let's go highest right to left, and then some left to right. So let's do like let's look at what I bet you EVRs is pretty crazy. What would EVRs look like? Yeah. That's yeah, sure. That's mine. That's pretty funny. Nick Hardy deep dive. We haven't done a Nick Hardy deep dive in a very long time. Let's see what he's up to. T8 at the ISCO, pretty good. But he surrounded that with 2 missed cuts at the John Deere and the Barracuda. So cut 11th, cut 51st, cut 8th, cut. A lot of miscuts. Not for me. If you want to take a risk, I think it's a very big risk. Sorry, that was this question here. John, I will have that stat for you because it's actually something I've been working on. If someone is good at golf, would you consider them athletic? No. You can be. Like, would you consider, no offense, Harry Higgs to be athletic? Would you consider, but like at the same time, I would consider Gary Woodland pretty athletic. And I would consider, so you can be an athlete and be good at golf, but just because you're good at golf doesn't make you an athlete. Like, do you think Keegan Bradley's an athlete? Again, no offense, but like, I don't think he's that athletic. I think he's a great golfer. I don't think Victor's particularly athletic. Great golfer. I don't know. They're not. No, just because you're good at golf does not make you athletic. So I mentioned Higo earlier, and we'll look at his profile here. Just look at this dude rocking the Malbon tee, just like look at this dude, just living. Was playing really well prior to the win and then fell off, which is entirely common. Withdrew from the Barracuda, though we don't have a reason why. And this is kind of what he did last time, right? is like he's going to win once every 18 months and then go into hiding. And I worry that we're in the hiding stage. So if you didn't see it earlier, I posted this screenshot, which will be on rickrungood.com very soon. It's part of the next data release. This is the preferred lies chart going back the last couple of years. So my favorites out of the preferred lie guys. Oh, there's Springer again. How about that? Like Knapp, Valimaki. God, Adam Scott. Adam Scott's going to win this golf tournament. We've just spent the last 46 minutes and like everything points to Adam Scott. $1.1 out of the money in a one and done. Everyone ahead of me has Burns and or Goddard up. I got to roll out Knapp, right? Yeah. Yeah. Or Grazerman. But yeah. Pretty far back of the money in the one and done. Need a win. Yeah. Grillo or Knapp. I have played Grillo in a couple of one and dones. 2.1%. Oh, this is a good call. Happy Gilmore 2 comes out this week. Can you please ask John Daly about his role in the movie? Yes, I will. I think we're going to, I think we will be vlogging it in some way. Fingers crossed, but the plan, I think you are going to see some footage from that round. Comes out in 2 days. So, okay. So we'll be out. I'll be able to watch it before I go there. So I think we're going to vlog that in some way. Okay. Talked about Goddard up. Talked about Davis Thompson. Talked about the return from the Open. Is it possible for you to run a model strictly with results from the 3M using players in the field? Yeah, but we could just do that a lot of ways, right? We can just do that. So just strokes gain total for the 3M. Yeah. Everybody in this field. Yeah. Do you want any minimum number of starts? So if you use one round or one tournament, Grazerman, Willett, Kitayama, Fishburne. If you want to go more than that, Vegas, Finau, Norin, Sungjae, Grillo, Pendrith, Lee, Hodges. So yeah, that one's pretty easy. Okay, so here's the Paul Peterson stuff. And the reason that I'm pretty big on Paul Peterson this week, and I don't know why, but he's played well the last couple of weeks, and he has just flushed it. 1.5, 1.5, 1.9, 2.9, 4, finished runner-up at the ISCO, 41st at the Barracuda. He is a very good approach player, and he is deadly accurate off the tee. In fact, he is third in driving accuracy, hits 72% of his fairways, and when he misses them, he rarely misses them. Or misses them very small, 20 feet on average. So my idea is that he will not hit the ball in the water. This is the theory. We'll see what actually happens in practice. He will not hit the ball in the water because he hits it in the fairway more than 70% of the time. And when he misses very small. Then he turns into a very good approach player. He's also priced. He's $6,300. He's going to be incredibly cheap. He gives you a lot of flexibility, and he's played well recently. So I'm here for this. That's the idea. Never three putts, which means you probably rarely make bogey. Like I just think it's pretty good. Like Perry said, a very good last man in. If there was, I don't play Ricky Fowler a lot, but when I looked at this profile earlier, it surprised me how good it was. I don't know if he has what it takes to win a golf tournament at this point, but he's driving it well. The approach play is slightly better than tour average, and that putter that he's using seems to be working. These are a lot better results than I would have guessed. Bunch of top 20s, a top 10 mixed in there as well. Most weeks I'm like a 3 out of 10 on Ricky. I'm like a 5.5 out of 10 or like a 5 out of 10. Would it be possible to have some sort of luck factor on your website? For example, guy misses a spot by a yard or two. Yeah. So that specific example is interesting. I think there are pathways to luck factors where maybe it's not necessarily luck, but it's like, I've talked about this before, like Olympic style scoring, where maybe it throws out your worst hole and your best hole every single round. Something like that. And then you have like 16 of the middle holes, or maybe your two best and your two worst. I don't know. Something like that, I think, is possible. That specific example, Brad, is like, we don't know the golfer's intent. So we don't know if they missed their spot by a yard or two or something like that. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I think there are ways to do it. I just subscribed to your site. Thank you. I appreciate that. I wish I could use it on my phone. Yeah, listen, it's actually better now on the phone than it used to be. I'm not a developer, obviously. And there's so much data and information that paring it down onto the phone has been a very difficult challenge. Now, I could spend $200,000 and have somebody develop that for me, but like that's what it would cost to integrate into all the data feeds that I have set up and to have it look good and have it work. Like, so as much as I would love that, I would love that. I think there'll be small improvements over time, but like it would literally probably cost me $200,000 to have like a massive development of like a mobile app or a site or something like that. Here's the Kevin Roy conversation, because I think I've mentioned him a couple times, but I don't think that I have shown him. Look at this lead in to alternate event season. 15th at the Byron Nelson, just getting better. 3 straight top 20s where 2 of them were top 10s and 1 of them was a top 5. Missed the cut at the ISCO. Little bit concerning, but I like to see the immediate bounce back with the T35 at the Barracuda, where he played very great golf for the first 3 rounds and struggled on Sunday. So that is, and really the ISCO was miserable on Thursday and he bounced back immediately. So that is a bouncing back, whether it's from a bogey or from a bad round, is a skill and one that usually correlates very well to success. I'm thrilled that we have answered a lot of these questions. The winner without markets are like kind of sucker bets, but I have considered them because I am a sucker. Andrew Putnam grades really well in a lot of models. So let's look at the Andrew Putnam deep dive here. 11th at the Barracuda. He missed the cut at the Scottish, but didn't miss it too badly. Withdrew from the John Deere, but I guess he's fine. And then 6th and 8th prior to that. The only issue I have with Putnam is the driver, but I need to check something really quickly. Okay. So this is actually pretty good. This is why he models so well. What is the thing that Andrew Putnam does worst, like by far the worst? It's driver. Now, there are a couple ways to be bad with the driver. Do you spray it off the tee? Are you short? Or is it some combination of both? For Putnam, the answer is that he is short. By tour standards, he's incredibly short. 274 yards, 168th. He is very accurate, as you would have to be. So at a golf course like this, that is way more important. His worst attribute will not be as bad. And it's also why you see when he's played here, I mean, over his last 8 rounds, he's actually gained strokes off the tee here because he's keeping it in play. Even some of these other, even 2021 and 2020, where he lost more strokes off the tee, it's honestly not as bad as some of the other weeks that we see on tour, where he loses 3 or 4 strokes. So the Putnam stuff is pretty darn good. I've got like 2 minutes because I do have to go. I have a prior commitment, unfortunately, at 1 o'clock my time. But I'm just trying to see if there's anything we haven't. I don't really care about the guys coming back from Europe. Is Eric Cole dead? No, I don't think so. Talked about Finau. I would love to do that. Talked about Putnam. Let me just see if there's anything else here. Yeah, listen, it's a long shot, but if there are any like real developers who will not charge me an arm and a leg, who could actually do this stuff, good, and you have a portfolio and you want to trade and barter, let me know. Email me. All right. I have to go. I have to get situated here and I have to start something else in 4 minutes. So thank you very much for tuning in. Links for everything you need are in the description. It's going to be a great week. We're going to continue this. I got a lot of cool stuff on the horizon, but for now, thank you very much. Mina, shut it down.